The Nintendo Switch 2 is finally here, but somehow they forgot a few things. Again. So, in today's video, I'm going to be going over 10 things on my wish list that Nintendo still needs to add to make the Nintendo Switch 2 perfect. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you guys enjoy the content, and let's just get straight into it. The first thing that Nintendo still has yet to add that's a very obvious thing and is definitely coming in the very near future is new variants to the Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Cons. And this is just something where it's like, there's no way Nintendo would leave all the money on the table that they could get from just making, slightly different colored variants of the Joy-Cons that already exist for the Nintendo Switch 2. All they would need to do is just keep the current black or gray theme that the controllers already have, and then just have an accent of, maybe yellow or maybe pink. And these are just things that Nintendo fans would eat up, as they already have with the regular Joy-Cons. I can tell you, I've got so many Joy-Cons, I don't even know. I find new ones sometimes that I didn't even know I had. And it's the type of thing where it's like, they could just get so much extra money for doing something so simple, and people just like the customization aspect of it. And the fact that it's not even something new they have to come up with. They already have pretty much done this before with the Nintendo Switch original. So just do it again with the Joy-Cons 2, and there you go. That's an extra, $30 million. I could even see them adding game-specific variants of these controllers. For example, a Donkey Kong Bonanza controller, or maybe a Metroid Prime 4 controller. And these are just things that it's so simple and easy to do. You guys have literally done it before, that you might as well do it for the new generation. The next thing that Nintendo needs to do in order to make this console really feel like a full release is to release the games that they already announced. For example, Kirby Air Riders, for example, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Metroid Prime 4, Hollow Knight Silksong. There's a number of games out there that people are still looking forward to. Either they got the console and are waiting for that, or they're waiting to get the console until something like that releases. And it's like, you gotta put the games out. Now that you've said they're coming out, you gotta put them out. That's just the rules. I am really looking forward to games like that, but they do just need to come out pretty soon here. And to go along with that, I think that Nintendo really needs to release, or at least announce, some new games that they haven't announced. Because even if you include the games that they did announce, it's like a total of 6 games that are announced and either released or unreleased at this point for the Nintendo Switch 2. It's not very many of them, and yet Nintendo still has a ton of IP that they haven't even really touched. So, especially, even their flagship thing, Mario, bro. We haven't seen Mario since 2017. That's a little while. So we might as well get a big new Mario game, at least an announcement of one, a new Smash game. These are things that are essential to having a brand new console, and it definitely would make it feel like a fuller release cycle. The next thing that Nintendo needs to add are themes. And if you're wondering why I'm kind of giggling a little bit when I bring that up, it's because Nintendo Switch, when the console released, it had this section in the settings called themes, and it looked so exciting. It was like, for now we just got black and white, but with time there will be new themes that you can implement that are based on the games you play, and it's just like a cool background feature to, fill up the home screen. And it was really awesome. I was really looking forward to it. Well, guess what? That was 2017. It's 2025. Black and white are still the only themes. So that's never going to be good, because it's like, okay, wait, now at this point, 8 years have passed. I'm not the same person I was anymore. I still have no themes. So I'm going to need at least a couple themes for the Nintendo Switch 2. At least like 2. It doesn't even have to be anything crazy. At least give me like a gray instead of just black and white. Like, oh my God, is it really that hard? Just put a red background or something. Black and white still after 8 years? There's other colors. Just look up colors on Google, and I swear you'll find something. So we definitely need to work on that big time, because it's just like, this is not difficult to do. In fact, Nintendo has put themes before. In the 3DS era, themes were a very big thing. I saw the craziest themes I've ever seen in my life. I don't even need stuff like that. I just want like a Galaxy theme. I just want, Mario, some very simple stuff, bro. How do we still have black and white in the big 25? When they invented black and white? The dawn of time. They got rid of that a long time ago. Remember colored TVs? Like, actually, they don't even have red, which is their color. I'm going to get off this, but it's crazy. They don't have red. Another thing that I think that they need to add for this console to really feel complete are new controller accessories, those being things like the steering wheel or maybe a gun for certain games. And this is actually something that Nintendo has done with consoles like the Wii or even the Nintendo Switch original, so it's not really a big ask. And they could even maybe do a new version of Nintendo Switch Labo, because that was, I really don't know actually how well it sold, but I thought it was kind of a fun little thing. I do think they milked it a bit too much. The original Labo was cool, then they made the robot one, then they made the VR one, and then I was like, okay, we're doing a bit too much here. But if they just made one Labo and maybe out of a more durable type of material than cardboard, I think it could actually do really well and just be a fun thing for people to play with. Because people are just always going to enjoy new types of controller configurations and things you can put them in, because it feels like you're almost getting a new type of console. The next thing that Nintendo definitely needs to fix for this new console generation is the online. It's actually crazy. First of all, everybody knows about the lag, about the stuttering, about the freezing, about all that stuff, bro.
Up here, please. Please, come on. Up here.
Yeah! But, like, even forget that for a moment. The Nintendo eShop, the place I go when I'm trying to give Nintendo my money, doesn't even work, okay? It's so slow, it stutters a lot, it takes so long to load into anything. If you click something too fast, nothing will happen. And it's just like, this is really crazy, because we went through the whole Nintendo Switch's lifespan into the Switch 2, and this is still an issue on the Switch 2. So you guys definitely need to at least fix your eShop. It's pretty much like your bank. I'm trying to deposit money to you, and you're making it hard for me. So at least fix that, especially if you guys are trying to push this online game chat thing. It's like, how are you going to do that if the online doesn't even work? It doesn't even make sense. Speaking of game chat, the next thing that Nintendo definitely needs to implement is mic support for the game chat. And as much as I fully, wholeheartedly, absolutely 100% trust Nintendo always, I am somewhat skeptical about this new game chat functionality, and specifically the microphone being in the console. And maybe it works just fine if I'm holding my console in my hand and it's right here like this microphone, but this microphone wouldn't work as well if I'm way over here. You can't hear me nearly as well, you know? And that's probably what the game chat is gonna sound like. You know, it's like if I gotta be yelling across the room whenever I play the game, I just don't know how well that's gonna work. And if I could just hook up a microphone, then I could maybe have a headset on, be sitting somewhere, and it would have the same sound as if I were right next to the console. But I play docked a lot, and a lot of people do. So it's weird to kind of expect everybody to be able to use this just fine. And especially with things in the way of you and the console, I just don't know how well I trust that that will work. Another thing that Nintendo needs to add, like this one's crazy, is achievements. How has Nintendo not added achievements yet? Achievements? What the heck? They've had that since the PS3 and the Xbox 360, bro. My whole life, achievements have been a thing. How are achievements still not a thing? And it's like, we are in the Nintendo Switch 2 era. We're in 2025. I've known of achievements being a thing since 2008, 2009. Achievements have existed forever, and they wouldn't even be, again, they wouldn't be a hard thing to implement. Imagine how fun it would be. You're playing something like Animal Crossing, and boom, you get an achievement pop up in the corner for, you know, maybe paying off your debt. And that just incentivizes you to play the games more, to try to unlock these things, to 100% complete it. And it's just a cool, fun thing and a cool aspect about the game. And if they really are trying to go more into this online route and, you know, game chat and things like that, achievements go hand in hand with all of that, because you also can compare with your friends, like, oh, do I have this achievement and you don't? It's like, call it whatever you want, achievements, trophies. Nintendo needs their own version of that for sure. Like, it's been too long at this point. You can't be going 15, 20 years and you still don't have achievements. Another thing that I would really love to see Nintendo put into the Nintendo Switch 2 is game suspension features. And essentially, many of the Nintendo Switch 2's peers in terms of mainstream consoles, those being the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, have features built into them where if I'm playing a game, I can essentially freeze it where it's at, go into another game, play it, and then whenever I want, I can go back to the first game and it will still be exactly where I was. It doesn't close out. And you may say, but that's really hard. Nintendo Switch is a small console, it's a handheld. Even other handheld consoles, for example, the Steam Deck, are able to do this. So it is something that Nintendo could definitely put into the Switch 2, and it's just a huge quality of life improvement. It makes things easier, more smooth, and just more convenient for the player base, which is what a next-gen console should be doing. The last thing that I would like to see Nintendo implement into the Nintendo Switch 2 is better kind of gameplay recording functionality. And what do I mean by this? Well, essentially on things like Xbox and PlayStation 5, you are able to not only record large chunks of gameplay, you're able to start recordings, it's able to pick up your voice if you're talking, but you're even able to stream to platforms like Twitch, YouTube, or even in a Discord call with your friends.
In the mathematical equation of you rappelling into the balcony.
And I'm not necessarily expecting Nintendo to do all this, but at the same time, they could, especially now that they're giving you not just a mic, but a camera.
And there's this.
There's a camera that can work with the Nintendo Switch 2. People could hypothetically stream or record gameplay videos from their console, and I love how accessible this is because so many new people are going to be able to get access to devices that are capable of doing this. So there's really a lot of potential for things that could be made now. So it would really be great if Nintendo just adapted a somewhat modern form of recording gameplay, because the clipping format they have now is very, very poor, and some games it's not even available. For example, Smash. You can't even clip things in Smash, which is so beyond me. I don't even want to get into it. But that is just something that I would love to see Nintendo put into the Nintendo Switch 2. But yeah, do you guys have a wish list of your own of things that you guys would like to see in the next game? Overall, be sure to leave that in the comments down below. Be sure to like and subscribe, and see ya. Before we get into it, please be sure to like and subscribe, and let's see.